I'm just not sure about Trent, man. I feel like Trent is missing.
I've been debating this thing a lot. I think the lack of farmer has been forcing me to go down this route.
As long as Haaland keeps firing, I don't think Foden is as nailed. Hey guys, welcome to Game Week 8 preview of.
Good to be back. Good to be back. Get this international break out the way. Keep the wildcard tinkering going. Can't wait for the football to start. Can't wait for the deadline.
We're not gonna have a meme of the week this week, but we're gonna have Razeen's face on the screen. Razeen, you're on a wild card, and what's been the week like for you?
That's been me. Besides my love-hate relationship with England, watching them lose and then watching them win and now watching them finally sign a new manager, I've been trying to do this wildcard team and me cashing in on the price changes. That's why I did my wildcard during this international break. But what does the game decide to do? Literally pause all the price changes this entire week. There was nothing. There was maybe one or two every 3 or 4 days. So typical, typical. As soon as I do something, you guys should know what to expect. So literally made no changes to my initial draft from last week. Well, I made a few, but nothing serious, and I still don't know what I'm doing. So really waiting to hear from you guys on who to get, who not to get before I sort out my team. And hopefully your advice will help me catch you.
I'm sure the price changes and I guess uh, the rush will come back, the FPL rush, because when all the players come back and players start traveling, then there's going to be a lot of talk. There's going to be a lot of selling based on scares. So I think you still got a few sleepless nights ahead of you.
Yeah,
Um,
and I held off on some changes. So I was plotting some changes, I think, just before some of the internationals kicked off. And I reconsidered them as soon as I seen that news about Saka going off early in the Greece game. I was like, ish, let's wait for more information before we can plot some of these. And I've got currently 0.1 to play with. So any move just destroys my entire plan.
um, we'll put up your team, Mohammed Waseem, because you got zero point 0.1 in the bank. What are the moves you're thinking about, and who's potentially to drop off or rise and ruin everything for you?
So I think it may have happened already. So initially I was planning Trent to James Justin, I think Salah to Palmer, and then upgrading Semenyo to Saka. But I think Justin's gone up 0.1 to 4.6. So I think I
Yeah,
currently have just enough to then make that transfer at the moment.
then you have to make the
But
transfer.
yeah, I have to. I have no choice. But I'm still thinking, like, right? I feel like removing Salah now is going to cause me an awful lot of pain for some odd reason. And I keep overthinking it multiple times. But I'm also plotting in the inevitable situation that I might miss another price rise. Um, I'm considering a cheeky Foden move instead of Saka, considering some of the fixtures that Arsenal have coming up. So I'm considering Foden instead of Saka, and then potentially instead of dropping Trent to James Justin, potentially going for a bit more of an expensive defender that's just maybe a little bit more nailed and maybe has better fixtures.
I
Yeah,
love the look of Foden. I mean, I think he looked quite bright in both England games this week, and he's back in the team and stuff. Now, I really, really like that idea, actually, not gonna lie. That's a very exciting one. And also in terms of the price rises, apparently Salah is due to drop zero point 0.1, if not, probably not today, but before the deadline for sure. So just keep an eye out on that.
the photo one's an interesting one, and we have a lot to talk about
Mm.
with those premium midfielders later on in the show. I'm going to transition into my team, which I haven't changed at all. So there's nothing really for me. I only have one free transfer, and I don't even know what to do with it. I'm stuck with Trossard. I think I'm just going to roll the transfer on. I have a feeling Trossard's going to play. I have a feeling everyone in my team will start, and then I'll probably look at changing things up later on. So it's going to be a very boring week for me. Get back into the interesting parts with Razeen. Wildcard, your team is up.
Is that my latest draft that I just sent you? Because I'm sure it's changed again since I sent it to you 5 minutes ago. But
Nice.
but yeah, I decided to go with the Sanchez Kelleher goalkeeper rotation. I mean, Ellison's injury was a big gutter for us Liverpool fans, but I think if you look at the prices, it's definitely playing well into fantasy wise. I mean, it is tough this week with Liverpool playing against Chelsea, and knowing me, I'll probably start the wrong goalkeeper in Sanchez
Who
if
are
I
you
do.
starting?
No, I'll definitely start Keller. I think Liverpool have looked good defensively, and I mean, you're gonna have to bank on save points. It's gonna be tough for both sides to keep a clean sheet here, but and I think we'll want to do better at Anfield, like coming off the international break than we did the last time when we lost to Forest. And apparently, Slot has been at home with his family, and now that he's back and he's a little bit more excited this time that he's got a lot of his players back early. So I'm just trying to look at the positives, and hopefully it'll be a good comeback after the international break this time compared to the last time. And then yeah, in my defense, I've went with a lot of the cheap options because I think that's the way to go. We'll talk more about the premium options, like you said, later on, but I feel I am quite sure I'm going to have at least three or four defenders under 5 million for sure. So I've got eight Nuri, I've got Face, I've got Van den Berg, who's 4 million. I think he's the best 4 million option out there. He's starting for Brentford these days. And I remember him from his Liverpool days. He's always been quite sharp. Is he there on loan? Do you guys know?
I have no
I
idea.
don't think so. I don't think so. I think I have a feeling they bought him from
Yeah,
what I
Okay.
remember.
Yeah, because I really liked him. I think he's quite promising. There was a large star where he was playing fast, and I could keep an eye on him. But yeah, I've got him. And then I decided to keep Lewis. I mean, at that price point, if you've got five decent defenders that are all starting, I think even if he's not starting, and we tend to get the team news early enough nowadays to know whether he's starting or not. So I think I'm gonna keep him in my squad, and the days he's
And
starting, I'm
and
gonna put
he,
him
he
in
didn't play many
because
minutes for England anyway, right? So you'd hope that he plays a decent amount of minutes for
And I
City because
think
he'll be
I think it
reasonably well
might not
rested.
even matter too much because Pep
Mm.
just loves him. Even when Pep brought Walker on, he keeps Lewis on the pitch in midfield. And I think now
Mm.
with the big Rodri injury, I feel he's quite reliant on him. So yeah, I decided let's just keep him at that price. Why not, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my defense, I think I'm gonna keep Gabriel. I mean, I put Gabriel in, but I think I'm gonna have Gabriel once the deadline comes because I feel you have to have that Arsenal asset. I'm just not sure about Trent, man. I feel like Trent is missing. He is that one defender I felt would be the right guy to have right until the end of the season. So I'm a bit unsure, but I don't think I'd be able to have Gabriel and Trent. And since I have Keller in goal now, my Liverpool cover is done. So that's probably, I'll probably change up the cheaper options, but that's what it's probably going to look like. And that allows me midfield to have my main man, Mo Salah. Not going to be letting him go anytime soon. Wink, wink, Mohammed Waseem. You said you're considering it, aren't you? I don't think
I
I'm
am.
going in
but
without him. I'm
what
definitely not going in without him.
what are you like? You're on a wild card, so you're thinking a bit long term, but you're thinking a bit short term as well. You do have space for another Liverpool player, and Liverpool's defense has been good. Keller is not long term.
He's
Do
not.
you
Yeah,
have do
it's
you
got
have
you're getting 4 games out of Kelleher and then it's done.
are you planning to save up a few transfers, and are you planning to get like Konate or Van Dijk or someone in,
So
or
I think I'm going to need to get Trent in. I don't see myself going in a long period of time without Trent. But I feel like I'm not going to force him into my team now if I already have Keller now. So it'll get me through to the next international break. And hopefully I'll have two or three transfers then where I can play another mini wild card, even if it means taking a -4 and getting to make three or four transfers. Hopefully this wild card will enable me to save on transfers going forward in the short term.
who are you most excited about from your team that you think this is the player that's gonna get me back on top?
I've got a good feeling about Havertz up front. I think
Mm.
He's a lot of people have been talking about him lately, and I just the orange flag, I mean the yellow flag is bothering me a little bit, but hopefully he's fit and ready to go because Bournemouth is a great fixture coming back, and I think Arsenal has some good games, so he might be the right guy.
Okay.
And Brennan Johnson as well. I mean, Mohamed Waseem, we've been talking about him for a couple
Yeah.
of weeks.
I,
And I
I
just I
Seven
just
and
like the
seven.
makeup of this team as it
Mm.
stands. I mean, I've got three strikers which I haven't had yet this season. I've got the lap there. I like the fact that I have a bit of a selection headache in terms of my starting 11 every week because I haven't really had that much this season. And even last season, the way I played, it's not something I like doing because I always end up benching the wrong players. But I just feel like this time I'll be able to do it a bit better. So I want to have
Yeah.
at least 12 or 13 good options to choose from.
I would just reconsider your goalkeepers, to be honest, because
You think
You
so?
chose the two teams that are on the difficulty rating over the next, I think, 10 game weeks. They have the worst fixtures being Liverpool and Chelsea. Literally the top two teams with the difficulty rating. So I think there's some considerations there potentially maybe going for a team that probably has better fixtures over that period of time because I think Kelleher's fixtures Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Villa, City, Newcastle over the 10 games. I think over the 10 games they're playing those six. And then Chelsea have Liverpool, Newcastle, United, and Arsenal in the I think next four potentially or within the next 10 as well. So I can't remember the exact
Bilal, are you listening
figure.
to this, bro? They
Yeah.
still don't think Liverpool are fixture proof.
No,
I don't.
I mean, I don't. We haven't seen slot against a big team yet, right? And I mean, if all the big teams are coming in one go, I'd
Yeah,
be
it's
hesitant.
tough.
And
It's
plus,
gonna be
you're
tough.
going with Keller, who's not nailed, right? I mean, he's got four
Yeah.
games and then he's out, to be honest. So
I I
I'd
think
be wary. And I mean, they have been conceding in the past few games, right? So
I think Keller is
No, fair.
fine. I think Keller is fine. I like. I, I think if you, I don't know, if you're talking fixtures, um, from to be honest, the only one that like would really scare me on paper is the City game. I always underestimate Arsenal, but it just doesn't scare me. Um, because I just feel like Arsenal will park the bus and the game will be really boring. But I
yeah,
think Keller is still a decent pick, but I still would, to be honest, I still would look at it like with Chelsea's fixtures coming up, they quite hard, and Chelsea don't have the
yeah.
best defense. Um, so I
But
would
Sanchez
look,
save points. I mean, if you're going purely based on save points, they'll
yeah.
concede a couple of goals, but they'll make a lot of saves because their defense is very suspect. So
Re- uh,
Sanchez can
in
do
terms
a
of
madness.
keepers, I don't mind it. I'm not fixated on it. It's better than Henderson, even if Henderson has a good run of fixtures.
True.
So I
True
can't
story.
complain.
Four teams that have the best fixture runs are Leicester, Ipswich, Wolves, and United.
Yeah,
And
you
three of those teams are sitting at the bottom of the table. So
yeah
And you know that Onana is currently the highest scoring goalkeeper in the game.
yeah.
yeah,
That's a bit crazy,
He was really high scoring last season as well.
yeah. Because
Maybe
he makes a crazy amount
yeah.
of saves in games. As much as has the odd mistake here and he makes it crazy.
Le-
And United tend to go under the radar with their clean sheets.
yeah. I'll
But
transition.
I did think a little bit about Onana because after taking Mazarawi out after
Yeah,
that conversation we had on WhatsApp, the three of us, I mean, I did consider Onana, but I just thought that, looking, you got a Chelsea and a Liverpool starting goalkeeper for 9.1 million. Where are you gonna ever get that? You know what I'm saying?
True.
yeah.
No, it's true.
It is value.
And but yeah, the funniest part is I read today, they're considering starting Johnny Evans at left back for United because Mazraoui is out, Luke
Oh,
Shaw's out, and Malacia. So that one might be reasonably entertaining.
Evans has been their main player.
Hmm.
I have the fixtures up now. So we can browse through that, and we were talking about a good fixture run. United seem to have a really good fixture run. Starting early kickoff, Spurs versus West Ham.
That would be a
Um,
great game, I think. I
I
think
think
it'd be
it'll
a
be
great game to
a
watch.
really good game. Um,
Unless we're gonna suffer from a bit of early game syndrome, but I think it'll be a reasonably entertaining watch.
Anybody to be concerned about? Is Son with the national team, or is he still
No, no. So Son didn't travel. He stayed behind, but there's expectations that he should be fit to play.
okay? And
oh wow, that's nice.
Brennan Johnson did play for Wales, I think.
He
Um,
played first game. He went off injured,
yeah,
but they
I
said
read
it was
something.
nothing serious, and he was suspended for the second game anyway. So they said he's fit and he should be fine
Perfect.
and available.
Okay. Oh, I'm not sure. Like West Ham wise, they have players to watch. I guess Mohammed Kudus. I don't know. He probably traveled pretty far.
Yeah.
Um, and then
Was
Bowen's
Bowen with the England
he was
team?
with the English team. He didn't. I don't know if he played, but he was with the English team. Um, so
I
that
don't remember seeing him, and I watched both games, but I mean, maybe I
Yeah.
wasn't really focused enough. Maybe he came on,
Antonio
but he
probably went to
definitely didn't
Jamaica
start.
again.
probably. So that's another one to look at. Um, otherwise, to be honest, I expect Spurs win. That's what
Yeah, it should be very
that's what I'm
open, but
feeling.
that game tends to be quite heated, and I mean, I wouldn't rule out a Spurs red card in the first half and then fighting to stay in the game for the rest of it. It
I, I
happens in these
I just
games.
have a feeling based on West Ham, they're gonna catch a hiding. Like it happened, they do
I
so
hope
well,
so.
and then they do so
I hope
badly, and
so.
they do so well, and they do so
Yeah,
badly. So that's my first thought, my gut feeling. Next game, Fulham vs Villa, will also be a really good game.
decent. Yeah, that could be quite an entertaining one because both teams will go for it because both will see it as a winnable fixture.
And Fulham at home, they're on form. They are
Mm.
threatening, and they line up quite well defensively and offensively.
Yeah,
Could be a
and John
surprise.
Duran post Colombia travels. I don't know
Yeah,
if he did travel with the squad there, but hopefully he's a little bit tired and
uh,
does the things
yeah.
or doesn't do the things off the bench.
Ipswich Everton.
Oh, that's a
Oof.
bottom of the table clash. It's going to be, I think, but it might be one of those ones where both teams are too scared to do anything and they'll end up just sitting back and hoping. But I'm hoping McNeil does a madness there, to be honest.
I'm hoping Calvert-Lewin does something. I've had him in my team. He's not. I don't know if he's even gotten a shot on target this whole time. He's just been so poor. Um, but who do you think from the chief striker from Delap versus Calvert-Lewin? Who do you think comes on top there?
I think Ipswich at home. I think Delap likely comes on. He's been the form
That's
forward over the past few games, so I think he probably causes havoc because the Everton defense is bad. So if they give him a little bit of
Mm.
space, he's looking quite
And
clinical at the
he's
moment.
got that flair to him. He's got a
Mm.
he's got a good goal and a scrappy goal in him.
Yeah,
So
gonna be a
he
nice battle for sure. I
yeah.
won't be surprised if both the strikers get a brace each and it's 2-2.
What about the defense? Because do you see a clean sheet for one? And like Mohammed Waseem, I saw you benched Myelenko.
Mikalenko, yeah, because he's
Mikalenko.
still injured. He's
Uh,
still injured, to my knowledge,
if
because he
you
was
weren't,
carrying a knock.
would you play him? Because
Yeah.
I'd assumed you picked him for
Mm.
this type of fixture.
It's exactly for these stuff. Probably would because he also gets forward. So
Yeah.
I'd hope he does something. But the intention would have been to probably play him in this one here. But at the moment, he cannot be trusted because I don't know if he'll play or not. So we'll probably have to see if Sean Dash comes with some information. But I mean, to be honest, from my three defenders at the moment, I find it very hard to bench Trent for this guy. And I mean, Lewis with Wolves away and Gabriel with
Yeah.
Bournemouth away.
You don't need
I,
to
I
at this point.
I don't actually need to play him. But
Mm.
if I do get rid of Trent, depending for who, I might reconsider who I play from my bench.
Okay. A fixture I'm looking forward to is United vs Brentford because I feel
Yeah,
if they lose, Ten Hag is gonna go. Um, but it's a tough fixture.
I'm surprised he survived. To be
Yeah.
honest, I'm actually very very
Everyone's
surprised.
still saying that though. Do you really think there's still a chance they sack him now after
No.
the
No,
international
no,
break?
it's
It's not
been too
happening,
long.
huh?
Especially
Now
with
It's
he's
now
been too
there
long.
to
Tuchel,
stay.
Thomas Tuchel is now taken. Like
Yeah,
that's another
there's
big
no there's
manager off
no
the
there's no
market.
manager available.
So
Yeah.
unless they go for what they were talking about, Inzaghi or
He said no apparently, so
yeah,
I don't even think that's an option for
so
them at the
I
moment.
I don't see any manager being out there ready to take it. Klopp is now got a new job.
Eddie
Uh,
Howe, Eddie Howe from Newcastle, leave Newcastle, take the Man United job.
no, it's only Gareth Southgate, and it's a
Yeah,
terrible
it's
pick.
probably the only
It's a
option.
terrible pick.
He's the right guy, guys. Trust me.
You're gonna go from Ten Hag not knowing what he's doing to Gareth Southgate just playing defensively. It's just the
Getting them to finals and losing.
So even if Mbomo scores in the first minute, which he will, and then scores again in the last minute, Ten Hag's still at the wheel, huh?
it's
Yeah, I think he'll
seemingly
be there. I think he makes it to the next international break, and maybe they're hoping some other managers get sacked or some big names fall off to become available for them. But I don't know, man. So a lot of people were expecting Van Nistelrooy to take over from Ten Hag if he got sacked or like an
Yeah, that's
interim manager
interesting, huh?
until someone becomes available. But I don't know if that is the best way for them.
um yeah. But do you think United's gonna win the game? Because they are still on paper favorites.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I know Brentford tend to give them a bit of trouble over the past few seasons. So I mean, if Brentford do cause a bit of trouble there, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think Ten Hag needs a statement performance at some point in time, right? And it usually comes at a time that a lot of United fans don't expect it because they expect to see a decent team and then the team to fall apart. So maybe this is the week they turn up and actually get a decent result.
Yeah, the comeback has to come at one point. I'm sure they'll
Yeah,
bounce back. But I just don't know when. That's the key.
Hopefully not, huh?
If you can get that right,
Hopefully not.
then you'll be in the points. Um, Next fixture would be Newcastle versus Brighton. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
if it was the Newcastle team, probably with the better balanced team, I thought it would be a very exciting game. But I think with the current squad, have expect them to play very passive again, which tends to bore some of the games out. But I think Brighton will go for it. I mean, they've been very passive, and plus their last win was also like comeback from behind one. So they'll probably try and start this one on the front foot and take the game to Newcastle at St James's Park.
Brighton did look sluggish after the last international game week as well,
Hmm.
which is
Ah, that's
a
true.
problem. Welbeck is set in the team. He looks
Yeah,
good, and he got on the points after the international break as well. Um, so they got a lot of players traveling far, a lot of important players traveling far.
yeah.
Mitoma, particularly being one of them.
Yeah, but
Um,
that Rota has stepped up since that
yeah,
last international break because João Pedro went out, he came straight, and I think he scored that game after the
yeah.
international break as well. So he's been quite consistent for them. So I think I mean I'd expect them to with I guess a lot of players returning early in general this time. I think they might be in a decent position.
Do
Next,
you guys know if Isaac is back?
I haven't
I
checked to
haven't
be
checked.
honest.
I'll update you. Are we gonna do a deadline day stream again?
We could
I
do.
should
I
be
mean, it would
available.
definitely help my wildcard.
Because
Yeah,
my, my
it
my
should be available.
my brother was super keen on joining us again, and he'll be able to
Best.
tell us. So I think we should do one, and we'll get that answer then.
Sounds
Um,
good.
Southampton, Leicester, another bottom of the barrel
Yeah.
game.
But how bad Southampton look? I feel like Leicester can cause like absolute havoc in that game.
I
But it
also
feels like one of those where everyone expects Southampton to lose and then they come with that shock result of like a 1-0 and it's over. But I mean, I think Leicester should be easily favorites for that.
I don't know. It's gonna be a very interesting game to see how they line up. I think Southampton, particularly if they lose, the manager is going to be under real pressure because
Yeah.
this is the must-win game.
Yes.
Um, Bournemouth, Arsenal, last game of Saturday. Um, do you see upset there, or you think it's going to be straightforward?
I expect Arsenal to win, but I think Bournemouth might make it a little bit exciting because I think they'll go for it. I mean, they don't really come across as a team that sits back and um, lets the team dictate. They will attack, but I can see it ending quite badly for them, to be honest.
I also, they played Liverpool recently, right?
Mm,
They were steamrolled. They were just outclassed, and they.
yeah.
Um, I think it's going to be the same thing, to be honest. I
Was
think.
that the one with the Konate mistake? Was that the game? Was it against Bournemouth? I'm trying to
Mm,
think.
I don't think
No, I
so.
don't
Was
think
that
so.
Wolves? No, that was Wolves. That
Yeah,
was
that was
That
after.
was that was
That was
Wolves,
when
yeah,
Semenyo scored in the first minute offside.
yeah.
Ah, yes. Yes, you're right. I remember.
But I don't see Bournemouth doing much. Hopefully they
Nah,
can. I need them
yeah.
to based on my fantasy team because I have Semenyo and I don't have any Arsenal players. So
Yeah, the
um,
double Arsenals. I need even having one Arsenal defender, I'm okay that Arsenal concedes. Because then you just hope for the Gabriel goal. As long as the
yeah.
clean sheet goes, I'm okay.
But I do think this is going to be an Arsenal clean sheet. Just
Yeah.
my feeling. I think they're just
It'll
too
it'll be like one of
classy.
those professional performances. Come to Bournemouth, walk away with like a 2-3-0 and
Yeah, I think they're just too they're just too good Arsenal for this
mm,
Bournemouth team. Sunday we have City versus Wolves. So Wolves versus City, Wolves at home. Um, do you see upset there as well?
mm,
No,
I
not
probably
at
see
all.
not.
one. I see one.
Probably
I
not.
think it's about time Wolves bounce back, get a big result at home. And Molineux, City still not 110% sure of what's going on with it, with their midfield absentees. And after the international break, also, this is a good time for them to look a bit vulnerable. And this is Wolves getting that big win. Oh, what a day it would be.
I,
I think Haaland comes back
even
with the
me.
fire.
I think
Another hat
Haaland,
trick.
Haaland,
Yeah.
Foden, Gavardio, everyone. I
Yeah.
see. I don't know. I don't see Wolves coming out of this one very happy. They haven't been lucky. They've been playing okay,
They've
but
been poor. Yeah, they've
they've
been
been more
poor.
on the poor side, and I don't
Mm.
see luck going for them. I don't see talent going for them. It's just um,
It's
gonna
just going to compound the pain that they've been experiencing. I think it's inevitable that that one goes south for them.
the next game would be probably the fixture of the weekend.
Mm.
Liverpool versus Chelsea. I'm hoping for a Salah stunner as we usually get. Um, but what are you guys thoughts on it?
I don't know. I'm thinking that I don't expect Liverpool to keep a clean sheet because of how good Chelsea have been going forward since the season started. So I can see both teams scoring in this one. I hope, but I mean, looking at the last few Liverpool Chelsea games, especially in the finals over the past couple of seasons, those
Lots
nil-nils
of
were
no
really,
no.
really painful, really, really painful to watch. So I'm expecting things to change in this one. Hopefully, both teams go for the win and don't really sit back and be happy with a draw. Like so. I'm expecting because I think Maresca will play to try and win. Slot, I don't know how he'll play in this game to be honest, but I'm expecting him to want to keep the ball, try and break teams down,
I think Slot's
and I
gonna
mean Chelsea
play.
might give them more space.
I think Slot's gonna play like normal. I think
Mm,
Chelsea gonna change their tactics up, and I think they're gonna play a bit on the counter and try and sit a bit. They got much more
possibly.
pace than us, and
Mm.
they do have a lot of flair players. But we'll see. It'll be very interesting to watch. I'm really excited for that game. Um, Monday night, Forest vs Palace.
That
Uh,
could be a very ugly watch. Yeah. That could be a very
yeah,
ugly game to
I'm already
watch.
not watching it. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's a pity, yeah. All the Monday night footballs haven't really given us anything really exciting yet that we want to watch from the onset.
Mm.
But I mean, the
yeah,
game could very well be impressive. You never know. But I
Yeah.
don't think we're gonna have any assets there either.
But oddly enough, Forest have the Monday game and then the next game week they have the Friday. So
Oh,
they're
is there finally
playing
a
two games
Friday
in the
game
same
coming
week.
up?
Yeah, there's a Friday night game next week.
oh, we got our players to watch segment, but yeah, Mohammed, this is something you were really interested in, and Razeen, I'm
Yeah,
sure you
so
interested in this because you on the wild card.
mm,
Yeah, this will definitely help.
I've been debating this thing a lot over, I think, since before the international break as well. And I think the lack of Palmer's been forcing me to go down this route. And ideally, what I would have loved is to try and fit in Salah and Palmer in the same team. But my financial constraints seem to make this very difficult because I think with Saka and Foden priced a little bit better, it gives you an opportunity to go one cheaper, one slightly more expensive. So I've been trying to see how I can make some magic work with some of the transfers. I think I've reached a point in my head where if I want two premium midfielders, I've got to let Salah go. I don't think it's possible to have Salah plus one of the other premium midfielders and still have a decent team around it at the moment. So I mean, I've been you see I've been trying everything to try and take as little knocks as possible, and I think my heart is set on definitely getting Palmer, even though the fixtures don't look great, and the fact that he's on pens, and I think Chelsea do play quite attacking football. I think he'll be a decent option. I just have this fear that this is their drop-off period now in the season that might make me regret this. But the other option that I've been playing with is potentially Saka and Foden, one of the two. So Foden's fixtures are probably better short term, so he's caught the eye a little bit more at the moment, but obviously Pep Roulette might make that transfer much more difficult. And Saka, is nailed on a lot of set pieces, also on penalties for Arsenal as well. But the difficult fixture run coming up makes me think that maybe I can fade him for now and potentially bring him a little bit later on once the fixtures do improve. So that's where my head's at. But I mean, I have seen some teams that have managed to put in Haaland, Salah, and Palmer, for example. But I mean, those teams look dire within the rest. But I mean, fortunately, I guess a lot of the cheap players are coming to the fore at the moment. But I don't think I can have so many of those players in my team to trust for a long period of time.
The risk is one, Salah is versing Palmer. That's the first risk if you have
Yeah.
that trio in your team. However, it's also not impossible to get three of these midfielders in your team if you sacrifice your forward of
Yes.
Haaland, which I don't know. It's something that's been appealing to me a bit more. Um, but for now, we'll stick to the midfielders because that's our topic. And I know you want to bring Palmer in, but my question is to you for you when, because looking at it, I don't think you need to rush this week. You have three transfers in the bag. Your team is fairly decent. If you roll another one, I think you can bring him in next week. Take Salah out because they're playing Arsenal.
Mm.
You don't need to bring Saka in, although it's not the worst option. And then possibly have Palmer and Foden for the next game week. Um, you can technically try and bring in Foden this week, so you have Saka and Foden,
Yes.
Salah and Foden.
I can't afford Foden
Okay.
for anyone at this point in time.
Mm.
But I guess actually maybe I could do Trent down to one of the other players and then do Foden. Yeah, possibly I could. I'm just worried about price rises. That's why I'm also
I
um
think I think
my
Foden will
my finger on the
rise
top.
based
Yeah.
on unless he doesn't start, which is
Mm.
always something that can happen. But I think
That's the biggest problem because I looked at it. If I take out Haaland, I can get Palmer, Salah, and Foden in my midfield.
Yeah, hundreds.
I would consider it. I would consider it, but it's so risky. It's just so risky.
But I'm willing for you to try it, Razeen.
Me too.
I'm keen for you to try it. To
I'm
go
so
out
happy
Haaland.
to just go with Salah and Haaland in my team and just build my team around them because I feel like there's so many good mid-priced midfielders to go with. And I mean, I have no shortage of them in my team as it stands, looking at Rogers and Bomo, McNeil, and so many that I don't already have. I mean, I just feel it's not necessary to take risks on expensive players. You already
Mm.
know that Salah and Haaland are the most reliable of the lot in terms of consistency, in terms of permanent captain options. It could pay off. You could get the 25 point palm a week. I almost did. I won't forget I almost had it. But in the long run, you know that if you have Haaland and Salah, you're most likely to finish higher up than the guys that take a risk every week, no?
The thing is, Palmer is explosive. He's gonna get big points, and he's quite consistent. Saka is
Yeah,
the
he's
the most
consistent.
consistent, but he doesn't get those big hauls more regularly. But he's probably playing in arguably the best team at the moment in the league. It's so, and you must remember, like just looking at them, Salah is the oldest, and his minutes are also being watched. He doesn't have it like it's not prime Salah. As much as I'd love to say it's prime Salah, it's still amazing, but it's not prime.
Mm.
And these players are going from strength to strength. Um, Foden particularly can be explosive as well. We've seen him, particularly when City need him.
He just needs to play, man. That's
That's the
his
thing,
problem.
yeah.
That's
But
consistency
but
of
the
minutes, which
concern
is
with
the issue.
him, the fact that he hasn't been playing, when the Christmas period comes, I'm not so
He's gonna
sure
be fresh.
yeah, I know, but I'm not so
Yeah,
sure he's gonna play every game
well, that's also
because
true.
they don't mind already. They're showing that they don't mind benching him. But De Bruyne seems like he's out for another few weeks at least. Um,
Mm.
I guess he's enjoying playing his wingers as wingers, and not
Yeah,
having to move Foden up wide. So as long as Haaland keeps firing, I don't think Foden is as nailed.
yeah, I think so too. I don't think, and that's what's been putting me off recently. But I'm hoping the next three fixtures probably give an opportunity for him to play a little bit more. But yeah, I'm still in that dilemma at the moment. I need a lot of things to convince me to go this way. I might, yeah, I mean, maybe rolling isn't the worst idea because if it gives me that extra transfer, I could always then consider Chris Wood down to Delap to free up some additional funds to cover the gaps or funds that might pop up over the next few days. But I don't know. I'm gonna watch the price rise charts very closely over the next few days, and if I see too many movements, I might just pull the trigger and live with the regret afterwards.
So talk us through again. You planning to drop Trent, and you
Trent down to someone cheaper. So currently looking at the fixtures, I've been considering James Justin for Leicester because their
yeah.
next three fixtures are Southampton, Forest, Ipswich. I think they've got two difficult fixtures in there, and then it gets easier afterwards. And then the other one is Ait Nouri as well. So I mean, at 4.4, he's got City, and then after City, it's Brighton, Palace, Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth. So also some decent upcoming fixtures, and that frees up enough funds for me to do. Well, actually, I need to free up more funds. So I'll consider then Salah down to Palmer, and that frees up enough funds for me to do Semenyo up to Saka.
It's a it sounds like such a good move, to be honest.
It sounds like a great move.
It sounds like such a
But
good move.
the fixtures aren't as appealing over the next few. So I'm trying to
It's
see, okay, can I
definitely well thought
maximize
out.
point? Can I maximize points elsewhere? And that's where Foden's coming to the mix now. So that if I can get him in for the next three instead of Saka, for example, then once Saka fixtures improve, I've got enough funds to move Foden back up to Saka later.
But I think in game week 12, Palmer's going to be essential. For
Yeah,
that 3 or 4 week run, he's going to be very essential.
I don't like. I think if you're saying like he's only going to be essential, then he's not worth his price anyway. But like Mohammed was saying, he's got consistency in him.
yeah.
Um, I wouldn't like. I don't want to back him just for one fixture. Leicester. I mean, it has potential to be really bad, but um, they do have a
No,
lot
but
of
I'm saying he's
Premier
got a
League.
good 3 4 game week
Mm.
run coming up, no?
Actually,
And from 12
I
onwards.
only have up to 13 on
Okay,
my
so he's
list.
got so now he's got Liverpool, Newcastle United, and
Oh,
Arsenal.
he
Then it's
has, yeah.
Leicester, then it's Leicester, Villa, Southampton,
Spurs, Brentford.
Spurs, Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich. Look at that.
It's crazy. It goes all the way up to game
It's a
week
great run.
22, where it's Wolves.
Mm.
Yeah.
Game week 23 is City. So it's basically from 12 to 22 uh, to
So it's
give.
quite it's a long run, but I think
Yeah,
it's rather have someone else now to cash in for 3 4 weeks and then do the move then. That's what I think.
yeah. It does look like a good move because he's going to be playing right through Christmas with those fixtures and all green.
Mm.
Um, main player penalties. Oof. So it's really difficult. I think this, like we spoke about the cheap midfielders, we talked about the cheap strikers, but this is what wins you the
Yeah.
your mini league. This type of decision. Um, I think Foden is one to watch, but I think it's too early at this point.
Yeah,
Just because,
there's not enough data to make that
yeah,
decision. He hasn't played enough minutes to warrant the move. But me becomes probably a more differential pick and a much more riskier pick. I mean, it could pay off really well, or he probably starts one of the next four, and then uh, I'm set here questioning my existence.
yeah. I think it's gonna end bad for you just based on when you get those headaches. The choice you didn't make is the choice that you should have
Yes.
made. So it's gonna end very
Now
bad.
the safe move is Palmer Saka, probably.
So on Saturday,
Very yeah.
just tell us what you've done so we can do the opposite.
Done. Done deal.
Perfect.
You
Um,
know who looked really good for England was Jack Grealish.
he's
Hmm.
someone to consider. I think
And he's been playing more.
he's
He's
been
been
playing
playing way
more.
more
And
Yeah,
this season.
6.4 million, it's a giveaway, no?
minutes is the
Ah,
problem,
FPL returns, and FPL returns, he hasn't been great. Even though he plays, he doesn't really get many returns.
and he's more on assists than
Hmm.
goals. So
Yeah.
you do want a little bit of a better goal threat.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to transition. We only have a few more players to talk about, but out of the midfielders, and I have Matthias de Ligt up on the screen. I
Oh
know,
my.
I know,
Oh
we
my.
we said like to stay away from United.
Why?
It's just the fixtures. It's purely the fixtures.
It's great. Yeah, it's so
Brentford,
good.
West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester, Ipswich, Everton. Um, I know he's five. I mean, you can go to Maguire or Evans if they starting. he has a bit of aerial threat. Um, so just to talk about United, and even we can even talk about Fernandes. A lot of people are still talking about Fernandes,
Hmm.
but
Very disturbingly, yeah, disturbingly so.
is it the time? Like, do you think consider United players at this point with those fixtures?
I think if he was worth 4.5, I'd say yes. I think at 5 million for a defender, I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. I think you can get better value elsewhere with better goal scoring threat, to be
But
honest.
what about Onana?
Like a James Justin or I don't think Onana's a bad pick. I actually don't, because he makes a lot of saves, and with his distribution and stuff, he tends to be very what's it called? He tends to be chosen a lot from a bonus points perspective as
Yeah,
well. So he does pick up quite a bit of those, and remember, they will get the odd clean sheet here and there once they frustrate the team enough to then get a couple of goals on the counter and then teams give up against them. So um, I don't think Onana is a bad pick. Fernandez, I guess, I think with after his few drops, maybe he's a bit more punchy now for people that potentially didn't have him and don't have
he,
the trauma from holding him for this season.
he's
But
8.2, so
yeah,
he has
I
dropped.
don't,
But
yeah,
if you look at United, how they've been, they've actually their defenders have more attacking returns than their attackers,
yes,
which
yeah.
is completely ridiculous.
It is weird.
So,
It is weird.
and if they win,
Isn't Dallo the same price as Dele
I think
at
so.
5 million?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's potentially a better option instead
he
of
definitely would be.
mm,
Because I think he's also on set pieces, some of the set
he's
pieces.
on set pieces. Yeah,
So
but I'm trying to think in that United attack. The problem is there's been no consistency on who's been playing as well, right? So I
yeah,
mean, Rashford,
yeah.
Garnacho, Diallo have been swapping consistently. Xerxes and now Højlund is fit again, so
Hoyland
they've
seems
got
to be
options.
up front.
The more nailed striker,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah,
the problem is he's a nail on striker, but he hasn't really proven himself. Like I like
yep.
him. He looks good. He looks bright. But so far he hasn't showed us that he can score 20 a
Yeah,
season.
I think just with Man United's lack of identity in general is probably part of the problem here as well. Because if they had a structure that you could see everything going through potentially Fernandes or through one player, you'd be more considering saying, okay, I want to do this. But at this point in time, sometimes the defender, the wing back, sometimes it's the winger, sometimes it's the midfield, and I don't know. It's very difficult to choose at this point in time who would be a player that you think would get a lot of returns. I mean, Fernandez is the big name there, right? So if you got Fernandez, you'd expect a lot to go through him. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's been poor this season.
But I was also thinking about that. We were picking up prime midfielders, but Fernandes wouldn't even been included. We left out De
Yeah.
Bruyne and Son, but
Mm,
Fernandes at this point doesn't fit into that. And looking at that
not
as
at
well,
all. Yeah.
like the olden day teams, Gerrard, Lampard, when they were in their prime, they were like 27 to 31, 32.
Yeah.
All these players, apart from Salah, are very young.
Yes.
It's a very different demographic than what I'm used to. Like back in the day, we had like Alexis Sanchez. Like they were all
Mm,
prime players, regardless of their position. Like Gerrard, Lampard, more box to box, you can say.
yeah.
Sanchez more wide. Bale was also more wide, but these guys are really young, which is a bit surprising.
Yeah. I don't know. There's like nothing in United that like the only other person I can probably consider in that team probably Rashford, but I mean
Yeah, it's just too
he's been
inconsistent.
he's been he's been really bad for a long time now. Really,
Yeah,
really bad.
but I have Tyler Dibbling up now. Um, 4.6, one of the cheapest
Mm,
as a midfielder, but he plays much more attacking.
yeah.
Um, Razeen, do you actually have him in your team? No.
No, I don't think so. No.
He's a
Um,
I
great
never really
enabler
looked
if you
at
need to
him.
free up cash,
yeah,
to be honest.
I'm looking at him to free up some cash. He's a great enabler. Southampton have decent fixtures. If you have him, he's going to be on the bench for the hard games and come in if you need him.
Mm,
He's playing more up front. They look like they're going to put a lot more faith in him. The only problem is if Southampton go on a bad run, I think they're going to sack their manager and then it's
yeah.
square
And
one
then this
again.
guy might not play again.
Yeah, but he's
Okay.
looking bright. Like I think for 4.6, his price is only going to rise as long as he plays.
Yeah.
So if you want that fifth midfielder that you're not gonna play, um, he's gonna build your team value for sure.
But who
So
do you lose now? It's so hard to take Rodgers out of your team.
I don't have
McNeil is
Rodgers,
so
so
exciting.
I think Rogers stays if you're gonna probably play him every odd week. I think. But I mean, if you have if your strike force is strong enough and you're gonna play those three
Yeah.
every single week, I don't see a point having a fifth midfielder that needs to be rotated.
the only thing is
Yeah, I'd
that
rather improve my
yeah,
defense then.
the only thing is actually if you go quite cheap on your defense,
Mm.
so a lot of 4.5s and maybe one premium defender, and in that sense, then you stack your midfield, and he's your
Yeah.
fifth midfielder, so that you rotate him with your defenders. So some weeks you're gonna play
Yep.
four defenders, some weeks you're gonna play three defenders, but they're like it's basically gonna be all apart from one defender, all your defenders are gonna be
Mm.
rotating, and you're gonna have a midfielder just to cover up, to change
Well, like I
formation.
mean, with
Yeah.
Razeen's front three at the moment, I'd play those three every week. Even Delap against the bigger teams. I mean, I wouldn't like bench him to be honest.
Yeah, it makes sense. He's worth a go.
And
And he can
he's
turn up in
nailed,
any game.
so
Mm.
Yeah.
he's gonna be starting every game, and even Christmas rotation. He's not a high energy player. He plays up front.
Yeah.
He's not at risk for rotation. I don't think so. The last player that we're gonna speak about is Mavididi from Leicester,
Mm.
playing Southampton. So kind of have a battle going on there. Waseem, why did you flag him?
Their fixture run's really good for Leicester, and Mavididi's um, touted as one of the more flair players, and I mean he's got a bit of speed to him, and I think apparently last season he had a reasonably decent goal threat as well. So he hasn't played much this season as a starter, but I think he's worked his way into the squad a little bit more recently. So I think their next few, and I think Leicester have the best fixture run from all teams over the next 10 games. So that's why I picked him out as a decent option because I have a feeling he'd probably play a little bit more in his. And I think at that price of 5.3, it becomes a decent enabler for you if you want a player that's probably going to play a lot more games and have a decent attacking threat with decent fixtures.
There is there is another Leicester midfielder though. That's five. That's been also touted as quite a good attacking option. I can't really pronounce his name. Um, he got on the go. He was on Team of the Week last season. Facundo
Or Buonanotte, he
Buonanotte.
doesn't start every game. He doesn't, and
Yeah,
that's the thing. So
his minutes
I
have
think
been
I watched him much more earlier in the season because he also scored, I think, against. Oh, so he assisted the Spurs goal, I think, or the game against in the first game again. I think he did start that one, but he was very inconsistent after a few weeks, and I think he got a goal a little bit early in the season.
uh,
But his minutes for me were always a worry. I've been watching him for a while. I've had him tagged on my watch list so that if he can get a few more minutes, I'd probably then consider bringing him in. But at this point in time, I've put him to the side for now, and I think Mohammed might be a little bit more nailed than he is.
it's such an interesting time at this point because it seems like the bottom of the league teams have good fixtures, whereas
Hmm.
the more nailed on teams have a more difficult run, and
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
always a
the
difficult
top
choice.
four teams with the most difficult run is Liverpool, Chelsea, Villa, Arsenal.
Yeah, it's a bit
And it's
crazy.
crazy how we say the teams at the bottom have great fixtures, but they're just playing each other.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is so true.
But that's our show for today, and anybody watching the stream or catching us on YouTube, just leave us a subscribe, like, follow, and leave us some questions. We always love some feedback. Thanks again, guys, for joining us. It's been a while. It's been a nice break, but let's get back into some fantasy.
Fantastic. Good
Can't
luck,
wait.
everyone.
Can't wait for the deadline. Cheers, guys.